Hi, in this video we are going to mainly see MTOM, which is message transmission optimization mechanism in SOAP. So that is what you are going to see today. So this is mainly to send the request to your SOAP web service in attachments. For example, if you send all data together in your payload, it will be very big. So if you wanted to send it in a specific attachment, and also if you wanted to stream the data and you wanted to send it, then you can use this optimization mechanism, which is MTOM, which is message transmission optimization mechanism. So that is what we are going to see today. So we are going to create some flow service and we are going to make that as a SOAP based web service, and also we are going to receive some attachment in that SOAP based web service. And in this we are going to mainly use some streaming, MTOM streaming, instead of loading all the data into memory, because when we receive attachment sometimes the file size will be very big. It could be 5 MB, 10 MB or all those stuff. So I do not want to load entire data into memory. Instead I wanted to read the data in a stream, chunk by chunk, and then I wanted to process it. So how do we do it? Let's get into the demo. I'll go and create a package, right click, new, and I'll just name this package as SOAP attachment demo, and I'll click finish, and then I'll create the main folder with the same name, new folder SOAP attachment demo. Okay, now we have created the packages, so I'll just create the folder where we wanted to create our services. So I'll just create another folder called services, and I'll just click finish. So now I'm going to write a flow service first, then I'm going to expose that as a web service. So I'm just writing a logic where we are going to receive a data and we are going to write whatever we have received the attachment. I'm going to write it into some file location. So I'll just write a flow service. I'll call this as a receive data as stream or as MTOM stream. I'll just call it. Okay, so we are going to receive some data. I'll just click next, and I'll just click this as a empty flow, and I'll click finish, and I'll go to input output tab. So we are going to receive this data as a stream. So I'm going to create a variable called object. Okay, so you create an object because we are going to receive it as a object only, like a stream you are going to receive. So I will call this as a MTOM and stream. And this, once you select this, you just go to the right side property. There is something called Java wrapper type. There you just select. Here if you scroll down, at the end you will have something called com.wm.util XOP object. So this object only will be receiving it. So you have to give that value. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some additional output in our service. I'll just create some variable, total number of chunks, and I'll call this one as a total bytes read. So these two variables we will have it as of now. So what we are going to do is I'll just go to my download folder. I have around this XML, large XML, sample XML. I'm having it around 1821 KB. So how much data I have? So I have the data as 1821 KB, which is equivalent to 1.8 MB. Okay, so what I'm going to do, instead of receiving all this 1821 MB in a same time, I'm going to receive this data as a stream. So I'm going to receive this data as 100 KB into 19 different files. So first 18 file, which will have a 100 KB record, which will be 18 file 100, then it is 1800 KB, and the remaining one file will be with the 821 bytes. So we will have 821 KB here. So that total we will receive it as a 1821 KB. And also if you see here, there is a chunk, different kind of data, different time of data. We will be receiving 18 times 100 KB data. I'll just put this also in a by. Okay, so 100 KB, I just put it like this, right? So this is KB or it is equivalent to 1000 bytes. So here the last chunk we don't have 1000 bytes, we have only 821 bytes. So but totally we will have 19 chunks. Okay, so we will receive a total number of chunks as a 19. So in order to hold this value, I have this output field, total number of chunks. And also how many you have, I'm going to read 1821 KB. So that data I wanted to print in this total bytes read. Okay, so this is what my two output field, and input is the stream which will going to have this entire data, correct? So now this stream will not be receiving everything together at once. We will be receiving it in a chunk by chunk, and then we will process it to our web method. So once I receive it as a chunk, I'll keep on looping it until I am going to receive all the data, and finally I'm going to append, I'm going to write into my file system. So that is what you're going to see today. I'll just create a service. So here first what we did, we went to input output. Here we set the XOP object, and also we have created these two fields. Now I'll just go to coding, where now we have to call this service. I'll just go to import and invoke and wm public pub, because we have to read the data from the chunk, right? So the data which we are receiving as a stream, which we need to read. So you have something called under soap, wm public soap folder, and you have something called utils. You will have some service called get XOP object content, because we are going to receive that stream as a XOP object which you are going to read it. Okay, so when we read it, see here it needs an object as an input, so I'll just pass that, which is our input field, and get as I wanted to receive this as a stream, so I'll give this as a stream. Okay, so now we have a data is coming in a stream, and also there are some content type. So now this is going to come in a stream, so we will not be receiving all the data together. Okay, so what we are going to do is we need to read chunk by chunk. So in order to do that, I have to have some repeat. So I'll add some repeat flow step, insert repeat. So this repeat, I am going to run the child sequence until success. Okay, so I'll just change this repeat on to success. Okay, and then we need to call one service in order to create a byte array. I'll just call that service, invoke. Again I'll go to wm public. So this time this service is available in a IO, where we have all the stream related service. Here I'm going to use create byte array, and here there is a length we need to give. So this is the length, how much data I wanted to read at a time. So that length I will just initialize it first. I'll just create some map step to initialize my default values. I'll just go up and I'll just keep this initialization step in the first step itself. I'll command this one as a initialization step. So here I'll just have these two values also with the default value. So initially I'm going to keep it as a 0. Later once we receive the data, we will be adding with the additional numbers. So, okay, so this one I'll just keep this as a 0. Total number of chunks, when we before processing it will be 0. Total number of bytes we read before processing, it will be 0. And then one more variable I wanted to create, which is nothing but our length. So how much length or how many bytes, right? So here it's like bytes want to process. Okay, so this is the bytes I wanted to process at a time. Okay, so if you wanted to give this value, it will be in a bytes. So for example, if you have 100 KB you wanted to process it, so 100 KB is equal to 100k bytes. Okay, so if you want to double check, you just check it in internet, bytes to KB, so it will be 100 KB. Okay, so this many bytes equal to 100 KB. So the value which you wanted to give initialize, right? So that we need to give it in a bytes only. So every chunk I'm going to receive a 100 KB. Okay, so I'll just give OK, and here I'm going to pass that length field. So which we initialize bytes wants to process, number of bytes I wanted to process, that length I'll pass it, and now we have a bytes, right? So this bytes is nothing but this is the data we are going to buffer. So I'll just name this one as a different meaningful variable name. This is again an object. I'll call this as a bytes in buffer value. So I'll just click bytes, and then whatever it's not required I'll just drop it. And here also I have received a XOP object, and which I converted to data, so I don't need this variable as well, so which I can drop it. So I have dropped those variable, remaining all I need it. So here also I don't need length, remaining things we need it. So everything is there. So whatever we have given the data value, right? So still we didn't receive anything from the stream. Okay, so we just created or allocated some buffer value which is having 100 KB to hold the variable. This object can hold 100 KB now. So now we need to call the main service, which is io.read. I'll just go to invoke there, wm public pub io folder, and there is something called read. So this read service only needs the data in a buffer. So that's why we just use this create byte array to get the value in a buffer. Okay, so this will give some buffer value. So that buffer we took it. So now that value we are going to map it. So bytes buffer value we map it here. So now we are going to take the data as a stream. So which we have it here under the data. So initial XOP object we converted as a stream. That stream is available here, which I'll map it. Again, length of the data, I have all the length value, it's here, which I'll map it. So now entire data we read it for the first time. So when it comes first time, it's a repeat on success. Even I have 1821 KB, it will come for the first time and it will read only 100 KB. Okay, so the 100 KB data is there. Here you have a 100 KB data. So now what I have to do, I have to repeat for another 100, right? So for that what I need to do, I have to, and also how many bytes we read, it will be there in this byte read field as well as a string value, which I am going to branch on it, and then I am going to switch it based on that particular variable. And I'm going to give evaluate label false, so it will be acting like a switch case only. So here I'm going to add a exit step here. Where is the exit? Loop repeat sequence exit. Yeah, so I'm going to exit from the repeat. So I'll just give that as a loop, and it will get exit. When I wanted to exit, I'll just specify the label as -1. When there is no data, I wanted to exit it. So for example, when it completes 18 sequence and then 19 sequence, the final data is read. When it comes for the 20th time, this value will come as a -1. So we have to exit it. So we don't need to process it. When actually we have actual data, then what we have to do? So if for example first time I read, there's 100. So then it will not go to this sequence. Correct? The exit sequence it should not go. Where? Because we have a data now which we wanted to process it. So in this example, what I want to do, whatever the data I am receiving it over as a stream, chunk by chunks, I wanted to write it to my file system. So I'll add one more sequence. For the positive scenario, I'll add a sequence which I'll say my label as default sequence, I'll say. So that whenever there is a data bytes read value, then there is a data in your hand which you wanted to write it. So this is my default sequence where I wanted to write into my file system. So when you wanted to write into file system, you will use something called wm public pub, and then I have something called file folder. Just scroll up, file folder, and you wanted to write into the file system, we can use string to file. But whatever we have so far, right, everything as a buffer, right? So that's kind of an object. So we don't have any data in a string, because in this data the data is a string. So we need to convert our array bytes data or stream data, right? Whatever we have received, right? The buffer data where we have a the 100 KB data, we wanted to write it. So in order to write, it needs string, but that one was having in a object, so that I need to convert it. So in order to do that, in anything, if you wanted to convert it, right, so you can have some service which I'll call now. So basically I wanted to convert the data wm public pub, and I'll go to string folder, and I'm going to use bytes to string. Okay, so here we have byte array, and then whatever the data we read, it's in a bytes now. So that data, right, so that data, it will be there in this byte in buffer value. So I'm going to map that value. Okay, so I'll just go and use that. So basically when we use read write, it will write the value which we are passing it in bytes. So that is the value, it will get stored here. Our initial 100 KB data, it will get stored here. So that's the one, and this is a string. So this is my byte content. Okay, so I'll just save this as a byte content string. So I'll just map this value, and I no need this string field, which I'll drop it. And this step, before, you have to have the before string to file. So I'll just move one step up. So now this is having a string data in this particular byte content string, which I can map into my string to file service. So I'll write this data, and append I'm going to use true. So if I give true, in the same file it will try to append, because we are going to receive a data in a chunk by chunk. So I wanted to append at the end, so that's why I'm giving true. If we give false, it will overwrite. So we have to give true here. And file name, what I want to write, so I can give any file. So this is my soap attachment, right? So I'll just give soap attachment, and I'll just I'm going to receive some XML file only, which is having 1821 KB. So I'll store this as a XML. Here I'll just try to include some timestamp. Okay, so I'll just give a perform variable substitution as well. I'll give OK, and I'll just take some time value. So I'll quickly use get current date time. So is it here recently used? Nothing. So I'll just invoke it again from wm public, and I'm going to use a date folder, where I'm going to use a get date string. Okay, so here I'm just going to specify a pattern. I want a date value, date, month, year, hours in 24 hours format, and minute, second, and millisecond. So this is a value I'm going to keep it. So this value, it's my current date time value, right? So I'll just store in a different variable, current date time value. I'll just map this into this value, and whatever is not required, I'll just drop it. So this is not required, so we can drop that one, dropped. And then I'll come back here, and I'll copy this variable name, so that whenever we write some file, it will be a new file name, because we are going to run our service for a few times. So that's why I'm just giving a different date time value here, so that in the runtime we can have a unique file name. Okay, so we store that file name. So now I'll just keep save. So now what we are doing is, and also there is one more thing we need to do, which is very important, because whatever we have initialized here, right, it is still the total number of chunk is 0, total bytes read is 0, which I wanted to add with the actual value. So total number of chunk, if I wanted to increase, whenever I come into this loop, right, then if I increase it, then it will keep on getting increased, right? So I'll add a map step, where I'll add a transformer. I'll move this step little up. Here I'm going to use a transformer. Here I'm going to use a add int only. So in the add int, I'm going to increase my number of chunk plus 1. Okay, so the number 2 value I'm giving 1, and number 1 I'm going to map with the initialized value, which is nothing but 0, total number of chunks. And whatever the output, I'm going to map it again to same field, so that whenever this repeat executes, so you will get, it is keep on adding 1 plus 2, something like that. Finally we'll get the total number of chunk value as 19. And this is for initializing or adding total number of chunks. Similarly, you have total number of bytes read. So initially we kept that as a 0, and then when you read you will get only 100 KB because that is what we given in a length. So initial first 18 files we will give it 100. The last one alone we will get it as a 816, correct? So that value it will come. So I'll just add that bytes. So here I'm going to add one more addend. So here number 1 I'm just going to initialize with bytes to total bytes read, it is 0, and then number 2 I'm going to add this value, because whenever how many bytes we are going to read, that's the value it will come here in the number 2. So whatever we are adding, it will get added, and then we are going to map it to total bytes read. So for example, I'm reading 100 KB, next time 100 KB, 200, 300, like that every time it will get add. So whatever it's remaining, right, 18 into 100 KB, 1800, and then I think we have 1821, is it? So we have 1821. The last chunk or last bytes read, it will be 21 KB only. Okay, so we will have 21 KB only. So that 21 KB also finally it will get added in the 19th run, and everything will get appended and it will store here. So that whenever you wanted to run it the different file, you will be able to see how many bytes were read in the particular program. Okay, so that is done. And also if you look at it, so first 100 KB, right, it will be full data. The last one, it will have only 21 KB. But when we allocate the file size, right, or buffer size, it is having 100 KB. So when we write finally the same 100 KB here, right, as a string to file, the remaining empty buffer also it will be written. So which we wanted to avoid. So what we wanted to do, so instead of writing everything as 100 KB, we wanted to write only the bytes which we have read. For example, the last chunk, if I have read only 21 KB, then I wanted to write only the 21 KB data. So for that we need to do a substring of our original string. So original string stored here, which I'm going to substring it. So I'll just convert here, insert, I'll add one more map here. Here I'm going to call a substring. String, substring, click substring, and in is our original string, okay, which is your 18 KB data. Okay, so this bytes read, right, it will give 18 as well, so which you can give it in index, so that it will only pick 18. So but again bytes content string, I think it will have the last chunk data, as it's a buffer, we read it from buffer, it might occupy 100 KB data space, but we need to remove that and we need to take only the 18 KB data, right? So this one, right, the remaining time every time, right, so it will match with 100 and 100, the entire data will come. The final one only 100, and you will have a bytes read 21, so that it will give only 21 string of string data in your string. So this string is nothing but the same value I'm going to map it. So now we mapped everything properly, and whatever we read, so it will get appended in this data. First time it will 100 KB, it will append, second time 100, likewise 18 times 100 KB it will come. The last one you will get only 21 KB, which will also will write it. So now we have done everything, and what else we can do here, I can even I can put this file name in my output as well. So for example, if you wanted to put the file name, you can copy and paste it. So whatever you have it in output, that will come. And what else I can put it? Okay, so that's it. So now we have the service ready, so which I wanted to make that as a web service. One more important thing, very important thing. So whenever you read anything from the IO, right, you are reading something from the stream, which you need to close properly. So in order to do that, I'll just go to outside the repeat. Once I read everything from the stream, I have to insert, invoke, and then in the same IO folder you will have something called close. So that one you need to use it. File, it's in the IO folder, you go to IO folder and you just use a close and then give OK. So now you have to map that field also. So your input stream is in the data stream. Okay, so that you just give it, because this is the data you received it, which you need to close that as well. Okay, so that's very important. So now we did everything. So this is a flow service. which is having a capability to receive a data as a stream, and through repeat we are taking every chunk from the source, because source is going to establish the connectivity and it's going to send it the data in a stream which we are receiving in a specific bytes. In this case we are receiving every data as 100 bytes. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. So whatever we have done, it's in a flow service. So this particular logic which we are going to expose that now into our web service, so that anyone from the external world consume via SOAP and then they can send the attachment. So in order to do that, I'll just create another folder to keep my web service. Just create a folder called WS, which can hold my web service. This is the web service I'm going to provide. So this web service is going to run in my server. Anybody can consume it. So I'll be acting as a provider. So I'll just create a provider folder. Provider. So I'm the provider for this web service. So we are going to provide this web service, right? So I'll just right click. I'm going to create a new web service descriptor. Any SOAP based web service, you'll be using web service descriptor, and then you have to give some name. So I'll just say this is attachment, right? Receive. I'll say MTOM attachment. So some name, web service name we have to give. So I just gave that. I'll give next. And this is a provider and existing IS web service. I'm going to give a provider service. I'll just click next. So I have to choose my IS service, which is nothing but this one. I'll click next. So here SOAP version HTTP document literal you have to give, and if you have already created alias in your IS admin, then you can create that alias. I don't have anything now, so I'll just give target namespace alone. I'll just change this to some other value. Okay, maybe I'll just give my IIS is running localhost 5555. I'll just give that. Okay, so remaining I will leave it default and I'll just click finish. So once web service created, right? See here web service got created now. See, it's created now. It's opened that file, and this is your operation. The operation has request and response, and you have many tabs, and you have something called policy. You have WSDL here. So if anybody wants to consume your web service, they need this WSDL specification, which will have your input and also output structure and the endpoint details. Okay. So now what I'll do, I'll just go to the WSDL. Before WSDL, there is one more thing. You have to go to operation and select here, and there is some property, right? In this property, there is something called attachment enabled, which you need to convert to true, because we are going to send the attachment as well. So I'll say true so that it can receive attachment, and I'll save it. So now what I'll do, I'll just copy this WSDL and I'm going to store it in my local system notepad. I'll save this in a file. So this is my WSDL, which I wanted to give it to any consumer. Okay, so in the download folder I'm saving this as a web method MTOM WSDL. Okay, then I'll save it as a WSDL file, and I'll just change this to all file and I'll save it. So this is the WSDL file now. So now what I'm going to do, so this service I have as a web service now here. So this web service I'm going to invoke. So if anybody wants to consume our web service, then you have to share the WSDL to them. So in this exercise or demo, I'm going to consume this web service from SOAP UI. SOAP UI is a testing tool which we can use it to test any web-based API. So I'm going to create a SOAP-based project in order to test that particular web service through attachment. Okay, I'll just close this one. I wanted to create a new SOAP project, and I'll just give this as a SOAP attachment demo. And WSDL I stored in my download folder, right, which I'm going to browse it. Desktop, and I have it in a download folder. And my WSDL name is okay. I'll just go to my download folder just to see what is the name I have saved it. So WM mtom Vistal. So this is the one I saved it. I'll just take that, copy that file name, and I'll just go to the SOAP UI and I'll browse that file. Okay, so now I just browse the file and I'll just click OK. See here, so now the request got created. I'm expanding this one. I'm opening the request one, which will have our request. So this is our request body, where you need to send the mtom stream with the stream data. So now we are going to add an attachment and we are going to fire the request from our SOAP UI. So before that, right, I'll just change this host name alone, localhost, because my web method instance, it's running in my server. So you have to give the web method server name here, and I'm going to add attachment. So before that, I'll add a authentication, because my web service, right, anything which is running, I need to pass some username and password. So I'll pass my default username and password, administrator manage, and that's done. So now I have to add an attachment. Click the attachment section and add a attachment file. Here I'm going to browse the file which I have it in my download folder, and in the download folder I'm going to refer this file, large XML sample, which is having 1821 KB. So this is the file I'm going to attach it. So large XML sample. So I'll just type large XML sample. Okay, so it's asking cache attachment in the request. You say yes, and then there's a content ID here. Okay, so this content ID you just copy and you have to put it after this CAD colon. Okay, or you can give any name also. So whatever content ID you are giving it here, that should match after CAD colon. Okay, so now I'll just give the same value, and after that, this is a content type is XML data. So XML data, it's coming. So now one more thing you have to do. So this is your client. So like any program, it's invoking your web service, right? This is a client. So the client also has to tell there is a data is coming in a mtom stream. So if you select this one and there is a property here, request property, there you will have something called mtom related property. Okay, enable attachment. Okay, so this enable attachment you have to give it as true. Okay, then you can send a request. So now I change the request property where I have sent the attachment equal to true. The request property I said that okay, so there is one more thing also, enable mtom also you just give true. So what I changed it, enable mtom I just gave true, and 1 minute, encode attachment I think I changed it. Yeah, I think that's not required. Okay, so I think I initially changed encode attachment, that's not required for this demo. So you can change, main thing is you have to change enable mtom equal to true. So now I change only one property, which is enable mtom equal to true, and I'm going to send a request to my web method web service. Okay, I'm just going to click this run button, and if you see here, it's running and now it's failing. Okay, so we'll just check why it is failing. So specified path is not an allowed path. Okay, so now what we need to do, so in web methods, right, so when you use this string to file, we are giving a path where we wanted to write the file. Okay, so here file name, I just give a file name, still I didn't give a path, so you have to give a path also. So this is Windows, I'm just giving c:/ this path, and there's one more thing you have to do, which is whenever you wanted to write anything in your integration server file system or the file server, you need to give a permission to that particular path. So which you need to do it from your integration server instances c:. So my instance is 10.7. I'll go there and integration server instances default packages, and then you will have something called wm public config. Okay, so I'll just go to wm public folder, wm public, and you have a config. There you have file access control. There you just change it to allowed write path. So I want to write it into c:. Okay, so I just wrote that. So now web method will allow access to this path for a write access. So I'll just give yes. So that's done. So any change in this file, we have to restart the IS. And one more thing is we have to do one more settings in order to enable the mtom. Okay, so I'll just go to my IS, where settings, you go to extended settings, and I'll type in my username and password, and I'll go to show and hide keys. So this will show the key in the first page. Okay, so I'm just searching with MTOM. So these 4 property I'll try to enable it. So this has some cached file location, enable, threshold, and I'll just save the settings. See here, as of now this enabled MTOM streaming enabled is false by default. If you want to change it, you just edit it. So this is mandatory, you have to change this to true, then only your IS will accept this particular environment to receive the data in a MTOM streaming. Okay, so these are the 4 data you have to note it down, which I'll explain now. So these are 4 data. So meanwhile, I'll just, if any changes you are doing in extended settings and also in a WM public config which require a restart, I'll just quickly do a restart as well. Shutdown, and there will be an option to click immediately, and then I'll just do a restart. Because that changes needs to, in order to reflect, you need to restart the integration server. So that is what we did. So by the time it comes up, I'll just explain what is this data. So if you go and see MTOM string cached file location. So for example, you are receiving a data in a stream. So internally it uses some storage location in order to cache that particular file, where it is getting stored in your temp folder. So whenever you specify anything without in the front, right, then it will get stored in your integration server folder. So basically it will go to your integration server, and here instances, and you will have default, and here temp folder, and you will have something called MTOM. So this is the place it will get stored. So your cached file it will get stored. See here only whenever there is a processing it will come and it will process your data. So that is one. And when you enable true only, your integration server can receive a data in a MTOM streaming. And then last one is MTOM streaming threshold. This is also in bytes, which is 4000 bytes, which is 4 KB. Correct? So 4000 bytes equal to 4 KB. So anything beyond this threshold, I wanted to receive it by stream. So that is the instruction we are giving it to our integration server. So if you wanted to set some higher limit, you can set it. So until that particular point, you will receive a data as a full chunk, full message. So you will be receiving, for example, my data will be 1 MB. Okay, I have set that value here. Then 1 MB data will get loaded into memory. So anything beyond 1 MB, it will go to your streaming. So here I have specified only 4000 bytes. Anything more than 4000 bytes, it will go as a streaming. So that is the configuration. And there is one more configuration we have, that is mainly for your outbound. Okay, so these are all for your inbound, and this is for your outbound. For example, your integration server, you are calling anyone's web service where you need to send attachment, right? So that one you are specifying it in this particular config. So now I'll just go back and see my IS is up or not. So now the IS is up, and so we also changed the settings earlier for our extended, which is true. And then we also changed our WM public config in order to give a allow write path. So that is also done. So earlier error was the write error, right? So I'll just run it again to see what is happening now. See here, what was the result? So there was a 19 chunks, and total bytes read is 1863903, right? So this is the bytes value, and the data it's written over here. So what has happened now is, so our service which is received the data in a 19 different chunks. So 18 chunk with 100 KB, which is 1800, and then remaining chunks with 63 KB. So the last one is very less. Okay, so these many data it's received now, and it stored the value in this particular file. So I'll just go and see the file. So our original data, right? So go to downloads, and this one 1821 KB, but maybe when we convert to bytes, it's coming with that value. And I'll just go to C:, so it should match with exactly that same value, right? And I'm storing under the C: only. And if you see here, it is also matching with 1821. So if I wanted to open this in a notepad, right? Or if I wanted to open in a notepad, so the data should be proper, because we are taking a data chunk by chunk in the same order. So it should not impact anything, right? It should not corrupt anything. So I will open and open in notepad and see. So this is my data which I processed and which I stored in my system. So this is the data which we received it over MTOM streaming, and we received the data in a chunk by chunk. So first I written a one chunk, then when the next chunk comes I append in the same file, and so on. Okay, so all the chunk has written. So this is a root tag and it has many records, and finally you will have a last record. So the root tag is getting closed, and last record with barh t some value, right, and it is having 39413. So this is the received file. So what is the file which we send, right? I'll open that. That also will have, this is a large XML sample, right? This is what I sent it. So I'll open that in a notepad. That also will have that barh data, right, at the end. So it's starting with the root tag, and at the end root tag will be there, and barh and 39413. So the data end-to-end data is copied or appended properly into whatever the file system we were expecting. So this way we can receive a data in a streaming without impacting or overloading anything into our memory, and we can store the data in our, or process the data in our web methods. So now whatever we have seen, this is how to check it or test it from SOAP UI. So in web method we have a web service which is running, which we are consuming it from SOAP UI, and we are trying to send the data. So this SOAP UI is a client which is acting a client system which is sending a data to you. So the same thing we are going to do now in a web methods. So how to send the data to some web service as an attachment through streaming. So that is what you are going to do today. So whatever we tried in this UI, so we are going to achieve it from web methods. In order to do that, we need a consumer. So whatever earlier we did, so we are acting as a provider. So we are the service, and we are receiving a stream, and which we are accepting as a stream, and then we are writing into our file system. So now what I'm going to do, so whatever I did right from the SOAP UI, we consume the data and we send the data. So similarly, if we wanted to send the data to any other external your web service, so you can send it. So for this example, I'm going to send it to the same service which we have developed. So but again the same thing only will apply for if you wanted to send it to any other SOAP based web service, and you wanted to send it as attachment, and you wanted to send it as a MTOM stream, same way you have to do it. So in order to do that, so we need a provider. So whatever we have earlier created, it's a provider. So we exposed it. Now I'm going to consume something. So I'll just give a consume folder. I'll just create the name with consumer, and I'm going to create a consumer now. So new web service descriptor, and I'll name this as I'm going to send it, right? So I'm just going to send MTOM SOAP attachment. So as we are consuming it, so we need to specify this as a consumer. So whenever you wanted to consume any web service, you need a WSDL. I'll just click next. And when we create a SOAP based project, we use some WSDL. So the same WSDL I'm going to use it, which is there in my download folder. I'll go and browse my WSDL. This WM MTOM WSDL, which we exported initially from our provider service. So that's a WSDL I'm going to use it. So here the main thing is you need to check this checkbox. Enable MTOM streaming for elements of type base 64 binary. I'll select this checkbox, click next, and click finish. So this is creating now provider service. See here, it created document types, connectors, and everything. So if you need to call any web service which you are calling through the consumer, then you need to call this connector service. So what I'll do, I'll just create a flow service here in order to send or call that particular SOAP based web service. So I'll say send attachment through SOAP MTOM. So here I'm going to give empty flow. Here I'm going to call this provider. I'll open my flow service where I'm just going to drag and drop this provider. Okay, it's opening here. I'll just close this one. Okay, I have to drag and drop the connector which is there in this consumer folder. I'll drag and drop this connector. Okay, so now we dragged and dropped it. So this is the one I'm going to call it. So now if you need to call this one, we need to map MTOM stream, because we are going to consume some web service where they need this as an input. So in order to send the stream, I'll take some file from my local system. I'll just do a invoke. I'll go to wm public pub file, and I'm going to get the file. Okay, so my file is available in this download folder. So the same sample file which I send it through SOAP UI, I'm going to try that. So this is a path. So this is the download folder. I'll just copy the path. So this is the path. I copied the path and I'm going to give the path to get the file name / and then I'm going to give a file name here. So which will give a data in a stream. So we are going to receive a data in a stream. Give OK and load us. There are few options which I'm going to select as a stream and I'll give OK. So now, so you will get a stream data. So once you give a stream data, so this one should be up, and because that's the first step where you are getting a file. Once you get the file, now you have a stream that you need to convert to this MTOM stream object. So in order to create that, you have to use a service to create a XOP object, because if you remember this MTOM stream we created as an input to the XOP object. So whenever somebody is consuming that service, you also, the client perspective, you also need to create that as a XOP object. So in order to create that, I'll just go and insert, invoke. That create XOP object service will be there in pub and SOAP folder utils, and then you will have that create SOP, create XOP object. Okay, so I'll select that. So now data perspective, I know this data is there in a stream, okay, which I'll map it, and content type, it will be text / XML because it's XML data, and we will receive and then whatever I received, it's XOP object. That XOP object I need to map it into this service input. So I mapped it now. I'll drag and drop it. And other than that, whenever we call this web service, we need to pass the credential, which I'll pass it administrator, and then I'll just give manage. So whatever we did, right, everything from the SOAP UI, the same thing we are trying to do it from web method itself. So all thing done. So I'll try to run this service. So it will take the file from your download folder and it will create the XOP object, and finally it will call that web service. Okay, so it's failing. I'll just check why it is failing. Values cannot be cast to IO input stream. Okay, so I'll just go to get file pipeline. File name is here. It's mentioned as stream, and stream is mapped to this value, and then I'm just trying to create an object. So from the okay, so see here I mapped wrongly from the body to stream. Okay, so I'll just delete this one. I have to map it the stream to stream. So earlier when I drag and dropped it, so I just did it wrongly. So stream only we need to map it. So this stream is getting converted as XOP object, and then that XOP object we are feeding that into our web service input. So now everything's done. So I'll save this one. I'll run it. So when I run this one, you should be getting the output, the web service output, right? You will be able to see in the below. See here, receive data as a MTOM stream response. Total chunk is 19. Total bytes read this many bytes, and you have a timestamp today 13/19/2021 and 12:06 is my time. So if you go and see the file in that location, right? If I go to the location where I'm writing, so my web service is writing into this folder. See here 12:06 one file with the same file size. So this way you can send any data. So that's it. And only one thing I want to correct it. So earlier when I explained, I told 19 chunks, which is correct, but first 18 is 100, which is 1800. The remaining I did a typo here. I mentioned 821, okay, which is 21 because already 1800 is there. Only 21 is remaining, which is our last chunk. So now we have used getting the file as a XML, right? And you can give any other file, or you can give a big file, and you can see overall time it is taking as well. So this way you can identify how much time it is taking. And also we are not loading all the data into memory. Entire 1.8 MB we are not loading into memory. We are loading into memory only 100 KB at a time. So this way we can improve our performance for our integration server, and also we can process the data smoothly into our integration layer. Thank you. Hi, thank you for watching this video so far. If you like the video, please share it with your friends, and also subscribe to this Tech Lightning channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.